Well, today I'm going to show you how to break down a duck. Here's a whole duck, and the first thing we're going to do, because one of the important things about a duck is you don't want to waste duck fat. A duck fat is an awesome thing. You can do fries with it. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. Confit, which is what I am actually going to do with some of this with the with the legs rather. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these excess flaps of fat, because those are going to go right into the pot that I'm going to use to render the fat. So I got a couple on the rear back here, and then on the front here's the big one that goes over the neck. I don't need that with the, that's not overlapping the breast or anything. So I can just take all that off, and I could throw that in my little pot here. Okay. Next, we're going to work on the legs. So the first thing I'm going to do right here, where the fat is holding the leg to the breast, I'm going to cut through that, and I'm going to open that up. Now, what I can do once I've done that is I can pull this down, and I find where the joint is. Notice I'm using a boning knife. So I'm going to cut right through here. I'm going to find the joint. I'm going to cut not through the bone, but between the two joint bones, just like that. All right. And we're going to take the leg off, like so. Okay. Gotta get in there a little more. Okay, there we go. And then we got to cut through the skin on the other side, right? So I need to cut through that skin to get the leg off. All right, let's do the same thing with the other leg. I cut my path here, past to get to where the leg is, right? I snapped it over like this until I get to where the bone is, and I snap the bone out of the joint, and then I remove the leg. Okay, so I'm going to put those over there, and actually I'm going to be taking the skin off of the leg because that I'm going to be making duck confit. Don't need the skin on the leg, so I'm going to remove that. Here I'm going to do the same thing now. I'm going to work on the wings, cut along here so that I can get to the wing joint. And the wings actually really don't have a whole lot of purpose other than to provide more fat. So go ahead and do that. Snap through that joint there. There we go. As long as I just got pop the bone out. Okay. And then I cut the wing off just like so. That goes in here. And then I do the same thing on the other wing. I cut here and here. So I can get to the joint. I pull, work my way in, I pull. I just keep working my way in until I find it with your finger. You can get in there and remove. There we go. Remove the wing. All right. So the next thing that's going to happen, of course, is that I'm going to remove the breasts. Okay. And the wing cupped up. Nobody says this was super easy. The legs come off easier than the wings do. Here we go. Yes, this is just going in avenues here, render the fat. Okay, now I got the top here. I got the breasts like this. And to get the breast, I'm going to cut. Here's the breastplate, the breastbone. I'm going to cut right along that. So use my knife and cut right along that bone to get as much of the breast as possible. Okay, and I cut through there like that. All right, and then I can peel it back, and I can work my way along the other part of the breastbone right here. See if I can show you that. I'm just working my way right along the bone, trying to get as much of the breast meat as I possibly can. You can see now, cutting right along the bone, just like so. Okay, and the breast comes right off. But there I have my buttoned up breast, and I'm going to do the other one right along the bone, like so. Peel it back with my hands right along the bone. So my hand is actually right along the bone here inside, right? And I'm just gonna go ahead and pull that back and then cut along the bone like so, right along the bone. And there we go. And I have removed now the other breast. Two gorgeous duck breasts. Okay, there we go. So I got my duck breasts done. And then the only other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove this skin on the back because it also has luscious fat, duck fat. So I will remove that and put that in my pot. So this is it, folks. I've broken down the duck breast. I'm going to finish this. So I'm going to remove this skin here also from these legs. Pretty easy project too. Just kind of cut along. You pull it back. You break if you need to get the point of your boning knife in there just to loosen it a little bit more. Okay, and then that'll go in there too. So I'm going to finish this up, and I'll talk a little bit more about rendering duck fat. All right, so I have my duck broken down here. Here's the breast, the legs. I've got the carcass. I've got the wings and all those little nice pieces of fat that I found. If there was a little bit of meat stuck to some of these, I just trimmed that off because what I can do now with the carcass and the little scraps of meat, I can actually make a duck stock if I want to. Standard way you would do it, put in a mirepoix, some herbs, bring it to a simmer and let it simmer for a while, and you're done. So to make the render the fat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add water, okay, to my pile of fat. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because if I have water in here, I won't scorch the fat, right? The water means that if it's simmering, then the whole thing is at 212 degrees as the fat's being rendered out. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started. And when the fat's all rendered out and the water's almost evaporated, we'll be ready to move on. Well, the rendering process is done. You can tell when you don't get a whole lot, you just get a little bit of bubbling in there. You're not going to try to get rid of every little bit of water, but when it slows down to almost nothing, you know that you've pretty much gotten all of the duck fat out that you can. So you then just go about straining it like that. Now, you're not going to get a ton of duck fat of each duck, but you're going to get it, once you get it, you can reuse it. All right, so I got that in. I'm going to push down a little bit on this, and I'm going to declare that done. Now you'll see as you look at it, you'll see it's layering a little bit. Not because there's a little bit of water still left, but that's okay, because what you're going to do is you're going to just put this in the fridge and let it sit for a number of hours. Overnight's fine. And the duck fat, which is lighter than the water, is going to come to the top. The water will sink to the bottom. The duck fat will solidify, and then you'll be able to take that off the top and just get rid of water. And then you'll have your increased supply of duck fat. See you next time.